It is a mess. How is it going, guys? For those who don't know me, my name is Govinda and this is my racing diaries. In today's episode, I'm gonna take you on a special rescue mission I went on last year. I went on this quite ambitious rescue mission, I would say, to save my beloved Yamaha TW. Plan was to do it in 7 days, to basically bring it back from death, literally from its grave. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let's get right into it. Before I moved to Australia for my higher studies, I grew up in a little village called Madhampagama in south coast Sri Lanka, surrounded by white sandy beaches and rich, vibrant culture. Back in the day, I was the proud owner of a highly modified 2004 Yamaha TW 200. This wasn't the fastest bike in the street, but I had a blast riding it back in the day. So it became my first vehicular love affair. So this thing had a couple of issues in its wiring harness due to the bad modifications that done by the previous owner. And I also wanted to change some of the modifications that done to the bike, especially the seat. It was horrendous. It wasn't designed with long rides in mind at all. And I wanted to change the look of the bike, especially the color scheme. I wanted to change all the chrome bits and pieces to matte black to give it a very sleek and mean look. And the most important mod this bike desperately needed was the front disc conversion. The stock drum brakes were scary for this bike. So to do all of this, I hired a mechanic recommended by one of my cousins. He claims to be a master of his craft, but long story short, he made the bike even worse than he was before. He did a lousy paint job, started peeling off within 2 weeks. And he couldn't figure out the wiring harness issue at all. On top of that, it took forever to do whatever the hell he did to the bike. So I had to get my bike from this guy to get it home. And a couple of weeks later, I had to move to Australia for my studies permanently. And my bike was sitting one of the corner of my friend's garage since 2016 to the day. So when recently we decided to go to Sri Lanka for holidays for 2 weeks, first thing came into my mind, I had to fix the bike. I had to finish it so I can ride it even for a couple of days. So I sat down with my iPad and started sketching down a design for the bike. All the changes and modifications I wanted to do to it. I wanted to make it a retro scrambler with some modern touches, with my own spin on it, a TW that no one ever seen before. I found this full LED headlight for a Harley Sportster on eBay that I really liked. I wanted to see how well that goes with my bike. I know this is not how a TW tank looks like. I just wanted to see how it looks with different tank designs. I kinda like my original design with the original TW tank and the off-road and cafe racer fusion seat that I came up with. Let me know what you think looks the best down in the comments below. So one of the most important things when you go back home is candy shopping. Otherwise you're gonna get kicked out. You don't want that. So we went to Woolies and grabbed a bunch of candy and chocolates and other bits and bobs for our homies at home.
Have a lovely holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. I had my bags packed. Not usual stuff. My power tools, the drill bits. These are all the stuff I bought. When normal people fly, they have their clothes and personal stuff on their bags, but not me though. I have my power tools and luggage full of motorbike parts. Now of course all the other stuff goes on your wife's luggage. Relationship goals, boys. So all done. I had to pack all the camera gear as well. Hopefully the immigration won't stop me for smuggling motorbike parts. Voyage. So everything's set. My brother drove us to the airport. It was like 20 minutes drive to the airport from where we live in Sydney. We got to the airport a bit early because Sydney is one of the busiest airports and I was a bit nervous about what I had in my luggage. I wanted to be ready if the airport crew wanted to check my bags a bit thoroughly. Check-in Singapore. So everything went smooth on immigration. After a little while we boarded the flight and one stop in Singapore, and 16 hours later we have safely landed on Colombo, Sri Lanka. It was past midnight when we landed. After a 2.5-hour taxi ride down south, we are finally home. Welcome to Mikasa. Finally here. It's really humid. You can see I'm sweating off. So let me show you the candidate this time. Right behind me, there's my first bike. This is a 2004 Yamaha TW. This was my pride and joy. Still is. And she is in a bad condition now. The game plan is a really tight schedule. The plan is to get it running. So it has a problem with the wiring harness. At first I decided to repair it, but I think it's gonna take too much time. I already bought a fresh loom out of the bike. It's a reconditioned loom. Just have to pop it in and I can start the bike. Then I can move on to the restoration. So there are a little bit of rust in the frame. I'm gonna repair that. So this is the place I'm gonna repair the bike. This is a front rim in my place. I'm gonna scrap this one. There's gonna be a brand new seat in here. I'm gonna have to make that out of aluminum or fiberglass. So this is the concerning area. I found out this place, I think this was collecting water and starting to rust. Hopefully it didn't go to the main frame tube. The other place is near the foot bank. This is the place the kickstand sensor go. Somebody decided that they don't need it. So at the moment, there's the tools I have. The toolbox I shipped before I leave hasn't arrived yet. Very convenient. There's still ignition on, but doesn't start because this is the starter relay, cutoff relay. There's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with the wiring. And this is a charging problem to the rectifier. It doesn't work. Got a brand new rectifier as well. So meantime, I got a call saying that my second-hand wiring loom has arrived. I have to go to my nearest town to pick it up. It is very nice to be back home. Seeing familiar faces, riding around the village. It's bringing back memories. I'm on my way to my wife's place now. It's only like 2 minutes ride from my place. And welcome everybody to my wife's home. Well, I can already see the head of the house sitting on the porch, ready to welcome me. Everybody say hello to Miss Gloria, everyone's sweetheart and head of this household. Basically, she runs the place. She's a mixed breed of a German Shepherd and Sri Lankan native dog. You can pretty much see the German Shepherd in her. She is tiny but doesn't lack the ferociousness of a German Shepherd at all. Everybody say hello to my father-in-law. He took me to the nearest town to get some tools and I have to collect the wiring loom that I purchased. It also arrived at a different place in the town. After collecting these things, I can start working on the bike pronto. So we arrived at our nearest town, Ambulangada. In here you basically can't find anything. I bought some essential tools from this shop and picked up my wiring loom from another place. This is when I bumped into this guy, my cousin Ishanka. He was my partner in crime back then. He gave me a ride back home. On our way home I got another call saying that I can come and pick my parts for the front disc conversion. I went to pick them up with Podi Mama and his tuk-tuk. This is on my friend's uncle and a very close family friend. Everyone say hello to my father. He's the one who's responsible for most of the art you see around our home. He bought me some tools that was lying around in his studio because I need every tool that I can get my hands on in this moment. So yesterday I got a wiring loom off of another TW. Let's stop this in here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this on top of the old one and start connecting one by one so that way I don't mess anything up. Yeah, let's go from there. This one goes to the horn and these goes to the front of the bike, and this is the ignition coil and the ground goes here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the front of the bike towards the rear, starting from the ignition coil, starter relay, CDI and etc. Meantime I'm going to remove the old wiring loom. So nice and crusty, I have to clean all of these. This is the ignition coil held with 2 bolts. I'm just taking it out so I can connect it to the new wiring loom. Let's take this out and clean the surfaces so it can get a better connection. Let's connect this. And that boy is firstly connected to the new wiring loom. And let's connect it back to the frame of the bike. Next challenge, untying this bowl of spaghetti. While I was fighting with the wiring harness, the mosquitoes started attacking me. That's when my mom bought some mosquito coils to fight back. You can't escape mosquitoes in Sri Lanka when the sun goes down. They're like freaking vampires. These can go through here. And when I tried to connect the ignition switch to the harness, I couldn't find the matching connector for it. This is a 3-prong connector with black, brown and red with a white stripe wire. And there's another single connector with black and white wire that goes directly to the CDI. And that, boys, when I realized that I've been scammed big time. And if you're wondering who's that guy behind the iPad is, it's my younger brother, Atma. He's also a big motorbike enthusiast like me. Always came around to give me a hand and hang around on his free time. While I was second guessing my life choices, my mom brought us some tea. It didn't turn out to be a simple harness job like I thought it would be. I had no choice but to cut open the new harness and find out what's going on with it. When I started unwrapping the harness, I realized that some of the wires are snipped off of it. Maybe someone just scavenged parts of this one for their own use and sold this piece of junk to me. I bought this thing on Facebook Marketplace and I don't have the time or the energy to track this guy down now or to find a new harness for the bike. This is what happens when you buy stuff online from the people you don't know. I guess you live and learn, boys. Now that I don't have a choice but to repair this thing, this will definitely make a big dent out of my time that I have for this restoration.
Oh, wait. Don't make it.
After pulling off the rest of the hair that is left on my head, I think I found the connector for the main switch.
Red, brown, black. So somehow I think this is the ignition. So red, brown and black. I'm not sure why they put it over here. It's too far.
Maybe this harness is from another modified TW. I don't know. Maybe the main switch was under the seat on that, like this. Or the TW guys out there, please let me know if this is normal or is this modified.
It is a mess.
It is time to leave the bygones to be bygones and continue with the harness swap. I decided to continue connecting the new harness to the bike and worry about the missing stuff later. I was labeling all the connections while I was disconnecting them so it would be easier to identify them later. This was taking painstakingly long, but it was a good learning experience and kind of like meditation in a sense. You had to be in the zone to do this. Patience is the name of the game. Next thing is connecting the brain of the bike to the harness.
Connecting the CDI in it now?
The first connector I'm connecting is the orange, blue, black and yellow blue wire which runs to the ignition coil, clutch switch and the starter and ignition cutoff relays.
Next, main power.
After that I connected the red and brown single connectors directly run to the CDI magneto.
And this is the green, white.
I think these are the signal wires for the ignition pulse. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Green, white, and finally the black. Black with a white stripe.
As I mentioned before, this black and white wire directly coming from the main switch. I think this is what activates the CDI when you put the switch on.
Beautiful. So the CDI connected beautifully.
I think this is the main fuse. We're going to connect it later. This thing directly connects to the main switch as well. If anything goes wrong, this is the first thing to blow. This is the right hand side handlebar switch. And this is the ignition cutoff relay, our main culprit. You can see the hack job that done to it in the old harness. Wait, I guess this is the right one. Yep, this is it. Let's take this out and pop it in the new harness.
Brand new rectifier goes here.
I might get the connector from the old harness and put it into the new one because the connector in the new one is disintegrating. For the time being, let's connect it like this. After swapping the relays, I label the battery wires and remove the battery from the bike. I need to send this battery to be checked and recharged. After that, I remove the old rectifier from the frame of the bike. I think this is the main reason for the recharging issue this thing has. I hope it's gonna be fixed with the new one I bought.
The old rectifier.
After that, I started connecting the magneto to our new hack job wiring harness. Next thing I connected was the yellow, black and white connector. This is also coming from the magneto. This yellow and white wires are directly runs to the rectifier. I think this line supplies power for charging the battery. And finally, I connected the remaining green and white connector and red and brown single connectors that goes to the CDI side. So that is magneto connected successfully.
I transferred the starting cutoff relay as well to the new harness. I tested it by shaking it violently. I guess it works fine. Then I connected the neutral switch to the harness. This is a light blue single connector. Now, the old harness is only connected by the starter switch connector. This is the blue and red wires with a white stripe. Disconnect that. Out comes the old harness. Here's the old harness. Custom battery box. I might chuck this, I might reuse it. Set this aside. This is the starter switch. If you bridge this, it will crank the motor. Let's connect that. And this is the connector for the flasher relay. So this harness, I can't find the kickstand switch, and this is the kickstand switch, the old harness. I think this has a kickstand switch light. I don't have a kickstand switch, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And if I find a kickstand switch, I'm gonna get this, pop it into the new harness, and anyway, I'm gonna cut this open, cut this loom open, and see what are these wires. What else? Okay. Oh yeah. So flasher relay. Might be needing a LED one because I'm gonna use LEDs for the flashes, not incandescent lights. Pop this in for the time being. While I was neck deep in the harness, Shashi's dad turned up with some goodies for us. I asked him to buy me some zip ties, sorter, and other miscellaneous stuff. He was also a big time biker boy back in the day. He used to own some sick bikes like Honda 250Ns, Triumphs, BSAs, bikes that I would give my left nuts and bolts to own one day. He helped me a ton with this project to hunt down parts, tools, supplies, you name it. He always came around to see the progress on the bike time to time. Thank you. Okay, this one is the clutch switch. Wires that goes to the clutch switch is also looped on this harness. This is there to stop the bike from starting and lunging forward if the bike is in gear. When you pull the clutch, this activates the starting circuit, then you can start the bike. All the safety features were deleted on this thing. That's not good. I'm gonna bring everything back the way it came out of the factory originally. This is the delayed kickstand switch. So I found the looped side stand switch. I brought back the connector like it was from the factory. So when I get the switch, I just have to connect it. For the time being, I'm gonna bridge it on the connector from something like a piece of wire or a clip. I started adding the waterproof connectors to the places that needed extending, such as the main ignition switch, clutch switch, and the side stand switch. I'm basically scavenging parts of my old harness and adding them into the new harness to make my own one. I tried my best to keep the color coding as original as possible, so if I work on it in future, it will be easy for me to troubleshoot anything. Here I'm adding a new connector to the clutch switch. In the new harness, all of these connectors were snipped off. I had to make all of them from scratch. Here I'm extending the main switch. I used the original connectors in the front and used the new one in the middle. When I finished all of these, it was maybe past 3 AM or something. I was exhausted and I was working whole day non-stop. It was time to hit the bed. It's the next day here. I managed to finish most of the wiring harness, like 90% I would say. So you can say we're here. I chased down all the connections that was disconnected like this, cut off, and I ran new connectors. This is the right hand side controls like ignition, start, stop. This is the main switch, connected that, and this is the clutch switch, and I had to chase these wires down. There's the kickstand switch, brought that back too. I think most of the stuff was done. The only thing I had to do is connect these two wires that goes to the starter relay, which is this bad boy here. I had to make a connector like this. I might use this if I manage to unclip the clips, otherwise I'm gonna make a brand new clip for this. Yeah, let's see how it goes. I got the starter switch wires from my old harness with the clips on one end and soldered it directly to the new harness. I have a plan to relocate this starter switch, so I made this wire a bit longer than the original length. And that finishes connecting the starter switch to the bike. So there's no luck still on the starting circuit, but I'll show you I can start the bike jumping the starter relay manually. So the ignition on, press the starter. Good morning folks, another day. Struggle with the wiring harness. Last night I finally figured out what happened. I think it's the black and yellow wire comes to one of the relays, starting circuit relays, doesn't get power. So this one over here, this goes to our problem child, which is this, one of the ignition part of the relay. We need power to this in order for this to actuate, give power to the main starter circuit. And the wire that gives the power to it is this, goes to the clutch switch. Need to figure out why I'm not getting power to this. Originally it was looped in the harness. This directly goes to the CDI, which is this one in blue color. So this wire needs to get power, otherwise it won't start. I couldn't figure out why I'm not getting any power to this wire. Everything else are connected properly now, nothing makes sense. To get my mind off the freeze mode, I started soldering the front brake switch wires. After that, I decided to bypass the clutch switch altogether and find a power source for this some other way. The best option I see now is tapping into power directly from the main switch. That way it's on whenever I put the key into on position. I wonder if there's something wrong with the new CDI unit too, because the CDI unit decides when to give power to these relays depending on the situation. If the side stand switch is not retracted, this relay does not activate, so you cannot start the bike. Then it checks if the bike is in neutral. If yes, you can start the bike. If the bike is in gear, you have to pull the clutch to start it. This is when the clutch switch comes into play. Maybe this issue is caused by a fault in the new CDI. I will come back to this when I get a new CDI unit. Until then, it has to be this way because I'm running out of time already. I'm already done with the day 4 now. My primary goal is now to get the bike running so I can get the emission test done for the registration. So everything is connected now. I got the tank to connect the fuel and finally try to start this thing from the self-starting system. My mom was keeping me company while I was working. It was nice to have her for the first startup. So everything done now. I connected the fuel line to the carby. There's a small leak on the carburetor, so I put a piece of rack on top of the engine so we don't catch any fire today. So this is it boys, come on, key on, fire in the hole. This was a true moment of joy. I got goosebumps all over me. Although my mom having a hard time breathing in front of the exhauster, and it's too loud for her. This thing has a super truck exhaust without the end caps on. You can feel it in your chest. It's basically a straight point. I love it. Idle's perfect. I know, you may be wondering where's this wrenching dive this guy has gone. Life has been crazy these last couple of months. I couldn't keep up with my editing at all. And I will do my best to be consistent from now on in the future. So please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button so I can quit my day job and do this full time. And I also want to take this chance to welcome all the recent 100 plus subscribers to the channel. Now we are 268 strong. You guys were watching my content even though I wasn't uploading last couple of months. That is simply awesome. Thank you so much for the support, guys. And until I see you with the part 2 of this series, keep on wrenching.